Hey, bonjour à tous. Hello everybody, welcome back to the Frenchtastic Food channel, the channel where I share with you every week, simple family-style French cuisine. And today we are going to take a look at one of the foundation of la pâtisserie, the the baking of tarts, pies. It's called la Pate Sablee in French, the shortbread crust, or you call it the short crust, I guess, in English. Very simple. It literally takes 15 minutes. Let's dive into this right now. Alors, the Pate Sablee, the short crust, can be used in many pies, as I said. One very good example of this is the apple pie, or even better than that, the tarte tatin. And I'll put a link in the description below. I do have an incredible, wonderful tarte tatin recipe that you'll find in one of my dessert videos. Alors les amis, the ingredients, everything you need, very simple, very basic. First thing you'll need butter. I'm using 1 stick of butter, salted, unsalted. It's really up to you. The other thing you will need, the next thing, is sugar, and my recommendation here would be to use confectioner sugar. It's gonna be easier to use, easier to mix. Flour, and here all-purpose flour is just perfect. And the final 2 ingredients, 1 egg and a little bit of yeast. So, very simple. Again, butter, sugar, flour, egg, yeast. Let's do this.
The first thing we have to do is to melt the butter. But before that, the first thing I did was actually to cut the stick of butter into small cubes and let them soften a little bit at room temperature for a few minutes. And we just have to leave it on medium heat for a few minutes with a stir every now and then. At this stage, turn off the heat and let the butter cool down a few minutes before adding the yeast. Our next ingredient is the sugar, and I'm adding it through a strainer to avoid lumps. Once all your sugar is added, you should start seeing some kind of a cream at the bottom of your pan. Now is the time to add the flour. Just don't add it all at once, but little by little, and you'll see that your texture in your pan will get thicker and thicker. Eventually, your cream will turn into crumbs, as you can see here. Your final ingredient is the egg that you will beat with a fork before pouring it on the crust. At this stage, it is super important that you keep stirring with a wooden spoon until your crust gets into a nice ball. And here it is. Usually, you will not use the shortbread crust immediately. You need to let it rest for a minimum of 1 or 2 hours, ideally overnight in the fridge. So all you need to do now is actually to shape your crust into a nice ball. You can flatten it a little bit, but most importantly, wrap it into a plastic wrap before putting it into the fridge.
Et voilà, c'est fait, it's done. Fairly simple, right? So you melt the butter, you add the sugar, you add the flour, you add the yeast, 1 egg, and this is it. Et pour finir, just to wrap up, just 2 things. The first one, let the crust rest, right? A minimum 2 hours, ideally in the fridge overnight. And the second thing, you don't want to spend too much time working that crust. It doesn't like it. As simple as that. That's it. So it's all in your hands now. You just have to make your own pie, your own tarte. Don't forget the tarte tatin. It's a good example of this. And from here, the only thing I can say is enjoy your shortbread crust, and à très bientôt. See you soon. Bye bye.